Welcome to Intellicide. I'm Anthony Gentry. My co-host is Kyle Pominville. And as the intro showed, this is the Spider-Man No Way Home review. So if you haven't seen the movie, you may want to go watch that and come back and watch and hear our opinions on it. And in the meantime, like and subscribe. So Kyle, what did you think of the movie?
I think it was my second favorite MCU movie and my first favorite Sony Spider-Man movie. It is. It's actually out of all of them, it's great because so yeah, I mean, we spoilers ahead. We already warned you. So yeah.
Right.
They do have all of the the rumors are true.
Yep.
Not only did they have the villains like you see in the trailer,
yep,
but they also give you the and the Tobey Maguire
and Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Which I thought was great. Actually, they didn't bother to try to de-age Tobey Maguire.
Right. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because they did de-age. They did use the de-aging technology for Alfred Molina and for
Willem Dafoe.
For William Dafoe.
Yeah.
Alfred Molina, especially, apparently he was adamant that they be able to do something because he wanted to look the same as he did in the Spider-Man.
Right. I mean, movies. You think about it, that probably was what, 15, 20 years ago?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. So he it was great in my opinion on so many levels because it's my second favorite MCU movie for a number of scenes that made me want to stand up and cheer.
Right. Okay, so what were those scenes?
So the appearance of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And the scene where Matt Murdock, so they're sitting there, obviously Spider-Man needs a lawyer after his identity is revealed. And so they flash to a scene and his lawyer is, of course, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. And they have a scene where he's like a hated man now because his identity's out, and a brick comes through the window.
Peter Parker is the hated man.
Peter Parker's a hated man, which is funny considering the whole Daredevil thing too. Like his identity being outed, so yeah, they have the great scene though where he catches the brick as it comes in behind him, and Peter Parker looks and goes, "How'd you do that?" Because I'm a great lawyer.
Exactly. Great lawyers can just catch bricks, barehanded without even looking.
Yeah, before Spider-Man could, because you saw they both reached for it.
Yeah,
but he beat him to it.
Yeah. That was a great scene. That was a great scene.
So I mean, obviously the appearance of the other Spider-Man, that was great.
Yeah.
There were so many things that I thought were great callbacks. There was they basically were able to resolve all of the plot lines for all of the other characters.
Right. Yeah.
Even the villains.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the scenes that I really enjoyed was when MJ went over the the structure or whatever, and she's falling. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man couldn't get to her.
Right.
And so Andrew Garfield, he leaps over and is able to rescue her and save her. And, the emotion that was on his face.
Yeah. And he does it differently than he did with Gwen.
Right. Yeah.
And there's this great moment, where he looks at her and says, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And she looks at him, and the look on his face, because he's crying.
Yeah.
She goes, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. I mean, that was a really, I really enjoyed that scene. The other one that I enjoyed was when he had said, he got them all together and he's like, "I love you."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Thank you."
Okay. Yeah.
And then one of my other favorites was when Jamie Foxx, after he got depowered or whatever, and was it Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield? I can't remember. Was it Andrew Garfield that unmasked? I think it was Tobey Maguire. And he said, "I thought you were a black man." I thought you were black.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And he's like, well, there must be a black Spider-Man somewhere out there.
That was great. Yeah. I was really hoping when he said that like you were going to have like, because the whole thing was built on like unexpected cameos, right? And so when he said that, I was literally half expecting to have Miles Morales show up.
Oh, dude, listen, that would because his power have just sent it over the top. Yeah, that would have sent it over the top for me. You know, yeah, and it was very good with what they did. I don't want to like tamper anybody's expectations or whatever, but if they would have had Miles Morales, it would have been like, oh man. Like, yeah, that could have possibly put that in my number one. Right now, I have this up there, but I still have Winter Soldier, up there as my number one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Winter Soldier has the drama, the action. I think that was a very good mix in that film. And not to say that this one didn't have drama or action either. I mean, because the May Parker's death.
Which I gotta say personally, one of the things I thought they did really well was condensing the character of Peter Parker and who he is across the multiverse.
Right.
And the essence of the character about problem solving, and they brought the saying in to the MCU, the whole with great power comes great responsibility, which is the essence of Spider-Man.
Right.
And so they were able to really show that using all three variations of him. By focusing on what he has in common among, all his iterations, what makes Peter Parker, Peter Parker.
Right.
I thought that was something they did really well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then the last one I thought was really good was the Tobey Maguire stopping Tom Holland from killing William Dafoe's Green Goblin, from killing Norman Osborn.
Right. I mean, he's a teenager, and the traditional Spider-Man story has been the death of Uncle Ben, because in the past he just wanted to earn money and whatnot, and wrestling, and so this was a different take where he's trying to do what he considers the good thing and helping these villains. And this villain, just murders his aunt in front of him and says, you can't help us, and
laughs
I'm helping you.
And taunts him about it. But it was interesting that he even telegraphed, like he said when they were up on the roof talking, Tobey Maguire says, look, the guy that killed Uncle Ben, I wanted to kill him, and I got what I wanted, and it didn't make it any better.
Right.
And so that's at the very end when Tom Holland's about to make the same mistake, he jumps in. And I thought they did it really well with just the expressions on their face. There was no dialogue. There's the two of them looking at each other.
Right.
Which I thought was really good.
Yeah. And then Tobey Maguire gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
by the guy Tom Holland is saving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, by the guy he's saving from Tom Holland. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, one of the things that I had a question about is because, at the end of the movie, and this whole series of events was precipitated by Tom Holland wanting Doctor Strange to cast a spell to make everyone forget that he was Spider-Man. And he, in the course of Doctor Strange casting the spell, he keeps interrupting them, keeps asking them to change it, etc. So it creates a mess, and all these multiverse individuals are able to come into their universe. Well, at the end, he is talking to MJ and Ned, and he's saying, "Hey, you're gonna forget me," or whatever, and they're both saying, "Hey, just make us remember you. Come back and it'll be like basically we're friends again, girlfriend, boyfriend, etc.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, he sees them and he decides not to introduce himself. So
well, I thought that was a really interesting scene too, really, because it was really him sacrificing what he wanted in those friendships. Like he wanted them in his life again, but he knew, seeing them, that involving them in his life would potentially harm them, because they're both, he walked in, immediately saw they both had gotten in to MIT. And so he had this, you could see it on his face, it's like he wanted to introduce himself and tell them, but he knew if he did, it was probably not going to work out for them. He was probably not doing them any favors.
Right.
And so he did. He chose to walk away for
now one of the things, and we'll have to see, because I want to say there's going to be a few more movies supposedly with Tom Holland. And
at least 3 more.
So are they gonna, and I forget what the name of the storyline is with Mephisto, because originally Spider-Man,
One More Day.
Yeah, Spider-Man makes a deal with Mephisto in the comics or whatever to make everybody forget. So I'm wondering if in these other films, like, there's complications now or whatever, that that way they'll get their memories back.
Yeah. There's several things that made me wonder about it. Like, he had that spell that was a broken spell contained in that gem that was contained in the box.
Right.
Well, the Green Goblin blows up the box.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you really don't know what so like, there are a couple of post-credit scenes after. Actually, I wanted to mention one other thing that was one of my favorite scenes. And I love that they addressed it, and I love that they spent so much time talking about it, was the difference between the web shooters. The two of them had made web shooters, and Tobey Maguire, they just came out of him. And they were both asking him all these questions about it, and he was getting embarrassed, and it was so great.
Right.
Especially with Tom Holland's, like, he asked the question like everybody else wanted to know. He's like, so do they only come out of your wrists? He's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it was so many different scenes or whatever that just brought a smile to your face. Like when Ned, he saw something on the computer, he's like, hey, Peter. And they're like, yep.
Yeah.
All three of them like, yeah.
Like, no, Peter Parker. And they're like,
right. And then when they're trying to work together and they're like, Peter, like, that really doesn't work. So it's like Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3.
Right. Which it was an interesting thing, I thought, with Tom, or with the Andrew Garfield character, that you could see of all the other Spider-Man, he had a real self-esteem issue.
Yeah.
As Peter Parker, as Spider-Man, like he still had, and I think it had to do with that whole Gwen Stacy.
Oh yeah,
thing, that was why when he lands with her, he's weeping.
Right. Well, I think they did, and all three of them, they did an excellent job of differentiating the same person and character. You would not think that they were the same personality, even though, like, yes, they have this fundamental and foundational essence to them, but they still were distinct in their own way. And I really did appreciate the acting or whatever of all three of them to bring something different to Peter Parker and their individual Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree. It was I like that Tobey Maguire was still like the older Spider-Man. He wasn't like the one from In the Spider-Verse where he was like a broken Spider-Man.
Right.
But he was just like this older, more experienced Spider-Man who was like the wiser older brother.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Like when he said, hey, you want me to crack your back?
Yeah, that was yeah, the two of them are both like, as the older, they're both like, oh yeah, I got so many back issues. And then it was really funny is in the fight scene, I don't know if you noticed this, both of them in the fight scene repeatedly get thrown into things by their back. They both repeatedly get thrown against like, you know, the beams and stuff in the scaffolding after having that scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great, man. I really did like this film, and have to, you know, agree with you that it was just so many scenes that, you know, it made me appreciate Spider-Man, and being a fan of his.
Yeah. So I had a couple of thoughts about the way that spell worked and everything. So you want to talk about the post-credit scenes first?
Yeah. So
Okay.
the first one was the Venom one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Eddie Brock is sitting in a bar and he's having a conversation
in Mexico
with Venom about, you know, this world. And
well, no,
you know,
not with Venom. He and Venom are having a conversation with the bartender, and the bartender is telling them all the stories of the MCU.
Okay.
And so they're like, so wait a minute, let me get this straight. There was all these superheroes and they were fighting a big purple alien, and he was collecting rocks.
Rocks,
like,
yeah.
So like, that was that guy, you can tell
aliens
that guy was
don't want rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's like, you know, aliens don't want rocks, they want to eat you, you know, talking about his own. But so I was curious about why Venom got pulled in to the MCU, and I watched a video earlier. I haven't actually seen the second Venom movie yet, so I haven't seen like the post-credit scene at the end of that.
Right, I haven't seen that one either.
So apparently, at the end of the second Venom movie, there's a post-credit scene where Venom and Eddie Brock have run away to Mexico, and they're getting drunk in Mexico, and he's actually wearing the same outfit in that he is in this post-credit scene.
Okay,
apparently, but in it, Venom explains to Eddie Brock that they all share that all of the symbiotes share a hive mind that shares memories amongst all of them across the multiverse. And so he's just about to show him, like he asked him to show him some other worlds that he knows of because of this hive mind. And so he's about to show him like other universes in the multiverse when the White Flash happens and they end up in the MCU.
Okay.
But so apparently what it would be then is that if he has memories of all the other Venoms in the multiverse, then he remembers the Venom that was with Topher Grace with Tobey Maguire. And so that's why he recognizes Spider-Man and knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, because the spell pulls in everyone who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man across the multiverse, which then makes me think, so this is where the theory comes in. I mean, there are other universes there. Well, so there's other universes where Peter Parker's identity was real to everyone. So everyone in the world, in some other worlds,
right,
like it would pull in like whole other worlds worth of people, because everybody knew in other universes. There's got to be another universe where Peter Parker's identity was revealed,
right,
and he didn't go to Doctor Strange. So like when that spell happens, there's going to be like, you know,
trillions.
You have no idea how many people it could pull in. You know, there's probably a universe out there with, you know, because in the comics, Peter Parker, the Fantastic Four know who he is because he's an unofficial member. So somewhere out there is a universe for the Fantastic Four.
Is that how they get introduced into the MCU?
It very easily could be now, honestly.
Right. Listen,
it's really interesting the way they've broken this, because it was like across multiple shows where, you know, you have in WandaVision, she kind of breaks the universe with her reality bending powers.
Right.
In Loki, they create a multiverse by killing Kang, or Immortus.
He who knows, or whatever,
or he who remains.
He who remains.
So like, and then in Loki, they do that, and then they create the multiverse, and then in this one, in Spider-Man, then they mess up that multiverse. They actually start mixing universes in that multiverse that was just created.
Mm-hmm.
So then to the second post-credit scene was really just a trailer for Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, which then sets up this is the situation, right, that Doctor Strange is left with a universe of multiverse that's basically broken because that spell got jacked up, and then the contained spell got blown up,
right,
and he didn't really fix that.
no,
right, all he did was fix their local universe by making it so everybody in that world forgot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the rest of that spell was not undone, which is why I was a little bit surprised why Eddie Brock got sent back at the end of that, because I'm like, really, there's probably people or things they actually show at the end of that. I'm sorry, we didn't even say the end of that first post-credit scene. They show a tiny piece of the Venom symbiote.
Venom, right.
So
I mean, you know, that to me that sets up where Tom Holland will get infected or whatever.
Right.
By
one of these next 3 movies they signed him to do is going to be the Venom story.
Right. So that's the setup for that. Now, the second cut scene,
the trailer for Doctor Strange.
Right. And it shows him contacting Wanda,
right,
and you know, I need your help fixing and whatever, and
fixing the multiverse.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting because he doesn't, which after everything that happened, I thought it was good writing personally, that after everything he did in this movie, that he doesn't go to her at all accusatory about, like, she's like, oh, I knew you'd be coming for me because of, you know, what I did. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk to you about Westview. Because it's like he's got his own stuff. Like, he's not going to go accusing her of anything because he broke the multiverse too.
Right.
So he just wants her help.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because now they're both very flawed. They're both flawed protagonists in the next movie.
Right.
Which I don't know if it follows the comics, but Wanda probably ends up becoming the antagonist if it follows.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places that they can go with that, you know, especially if they're going to be introducing new characters. We talked about the setup for the Young Avengers and her 2 children, Speed and what's the other one, Wiccan.
Yeah.
So, you know, this could be a possibility in this movie.
Did you notice who they had, the extra character they brought in with?
Oh yeah, America Chavez.
Yeah, America Chavez.
Oh yeah. All right, listen, you know, I'm all for it, man. Like I said, I'm really excited for what Disney Plus is trying to create. And we've talked about it on other podcasts where, you know, these shows, and you know, and this is not to take anything away from the cinematic you know, events and the films, but I believe that Disney Plus and these series or whatever is going to continue to feed the fan base these items that they want to see when, and I don't have to wait, you know, 4 or 5 months for a film to be released. So with America Chavez, with Kate Bishop, if they take the young man that was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier as Patriot, and then
as the other Falcon.
No, as Patriot.
Yeah, no, I was just saying they set up 2 characters in that one.
You know,
that guy's going to come back with the wings at some point.
Yeah, you know, I didn't like the Falcon sidekick when he became you know, Captain Falcon. I you know, I didn't like that. So, but we'll see what they do.
So the only complaint that I had, and she hasn't said a line or anything, that she didn't speak it as far as I remember in the trailer, the America Chavez, was the only complaint that I had was that in the comics, the way that they draw her is that she's big She's like a tall, powerful woman. And in this one, she was kind of like this short, small girl.
Well, yeah, I actually think it's a very young lady that they've cast.
Yeah. Yep. Which I don't know. Some of the thing I thought was really cool about the story about America Chavez. That's kind of, you know, she's from the future, different universe, but still the future. But part of it is that she's so far in the future that she knows of things that, you know. So part of the lore is that, you know, the next Captain America, or one of the next Captain Americas, the person who holds the mantle and really like becomes a legend, is the daughter of Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. She ends up becoming Captain America and becomes like a legend in her time. But you learn of this because America Chavez is like, you know, But anyway,
you know, but then, and I've talked about this in the past too, and because of this movie and them introducing Charlie Cox, and we'll have to talk about it in a review of Hawkeye. So Kristen Ritter, her character, and then Michael Coulter as Luke Cage. I would really like to see them get it integrated into the MCU, and those
I would
characters.
totally love that. Yeah.
Oh, dude, right.
And you know what I was really okay. So I just want to say, just my personal opinion. I was really hoping that when they were having that scene where Matt Murdock and Peter Parker are talking, and he's got, so they have Happy Hogan at the table too, right? And he's telling, apparently Matt Murdock represents Peter Parker, but he's not representing Happy Hogan. And he's telling Happy Hogan, like, look, you're in a lot of trouble. You need to get a really good lawyer.
Right.
And I kept thinking like he was going to go, and I know one, and then Foggy would come in.
Oh, dude, right. And you know, he could have like, you know, said, hey, I know a guy that has been dealing with having his, you know, a public identity, you know, either himself, or he could say Luke Cage. Everybody knew Luke Cage. So, you know, and that would have been a great way to, you know, maybe there's still some legal hurdles that they have to get over.
Yeah. It was funny too, because the other thing that the thought that crossed my mind, but I'm like, they wouldn't do that. It's too far. But it would have been true to the comics, would have been to, because Peter's like kind of in danger now, right? Like his family's under threat. They threw the bricks at him and stuff. Would be to like, look, you need some protection. So I know these two guys, and then you have Heroes for Hire,
right?
That would mean that Danny Rand is canon in the MCU, and
yes, that
would be,
I you know, I'm still hopeful, and I'll trust in Marvel and Disney to, you know, introduce these characters.
Right. And, you know, it would be kind of cool, actually, just throwing it out there. Heroes for Hire, but instead of Luke Cage and Danny Rand, you have Luke Cage and Shang-Chi. Because I think the two actors together would have, I've never seen them in anything together, but I think they'd have good chemistry together. I think that
oh, hey, listen, who knows, man? You know, we have a world of possibilities ahead of us. So yeah. I'm excited. I'm very excited for them.
Yeah, I think they've set it up for a lot of exciting possibilities. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you said that you rate Spider-Man your second favorite?
No, I wouldn't say it's my second. I'll put it in my top 5 for sure.
Top 5? Okay.
Yeah. Top 5.
Out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
4 3/4.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
I give it 5 stars just because. I mean, I had very little complaints coming out of it, honestly.
Oh yeah. Listen, it was an excellent movie. You know, if you're a fan of the MCU, if you're a fan of Spider-Man, you'll enjoy this movie. I mean, you will just go in there and just have a giddy time. So.
Yes, you will. All right. So that's our review.
Yes, sir. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
Post your comments.
Yep.
Like and subscribe. Post your comments, and Intellicide signing off.
Yep. We'll see you next time.